reaction from the Romney camp is Artur Davis, who is the co-chair for President Obama's 2008 campaign, but he is now a supporter of Governor Romney and is a surrogate for his campaign. Good morning, sir. Good to have you with us today.
Good morning to you.
So you are, as I said, a Romney supporter now. You had one of the, sort of most prominent speeches at the RNC this year. What did you think of how your man did last night?
I think Mitt Romney had the most decisive win in a debate that any candidate's had in the last 20 years. I'll be bipartisan about it. The two best debaters in the last 20 years have been Mitt Romney and Bill Clinton in 1992. It's a decisive win, and it was a decisive win on substance. Mitt Romney countered Barack Obama last night, came back at the president in a respectful way, and the president didn't have answers. So it was a win on substance last night.
You are obviously a unique political player and observer of this whole process. You were the co-chair of President Obama's campaign back in 2008. What brought you to the place you are now as a supporter and surrogate for Mitt Romney just 4 years later?
Well, Martha, I'm like about 7 million Americans out there who voted for the president who don't plan to do so again. I'm like many Americans who were Democrats at one point who moved away from the Democratic Party. Democratic Party ID has dropped 11 points in the last 4 years. Part of its policy, part of its ideology, and part of its results. Last night was a debate about results, and what was telling to me, at no point last night did President Obama lay out a case for what a second term is going to look like. I heard President Obama say he was going to do one thing in a second term, that he's going to raise some taxes in a second term that he didn't get around to raising in the first term. That's not much of an uplifting vision for the American people. Ronald Reagan used to say that you're a great communicator when you have great things to communicate. Barack Obama did not have great things to communicate last night, and that's why he struggled by all accounts.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt in my mind that the president and his camp will spend the next couple of weeks spending a lot more time being prepared and getting ready. So I don't think anybody's going to count out President Obama at this point in terms of how he will perform in the next debate. So what are your folks, the Romney folks, going to do to sort of get ready for the next round?
This wasn't just about performance. The Obama folks think this was about style and performance and looking down last night when we should have been looking up. Last night was about substance. Mitt Romney looked at President Obama and said, you paid for Obamacare by cutting $716 billion from Medicare. You didn't have to do it. President Obama had no answer. Mitt Romney said, President Obama, you talk about a few tax breaks to the oil and gas industry. You've given much more tax breaks to the alternative energy industry, and you have nothing to show for it. President Obama just looked at him. At the end of the day, Barack Obama couldn't engage on substance last night. The facts aren't going to get any better between now and the next two debates. The alternative energy market's not going to start working in the next 2 weeks. Obama's economic policies aren't going to start working in the next 2 weeks. As a result of that, it wasn't about style. It was about substance and Obama not being able to stand on his own record. That record's not going to change between now and the next debate.
All right. Interesting assessment. Artur Davis, thank you so much for being with us today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Now